Hey guys, how are you doing? We are here to talk about emotions and patterns and things that you find yourself doing over and over again. And I have a question. Have you ever found yourself doing the same thing over and over again, even when you know it's holding you back? Even when you know that it's blocking you in some way. Could be that it's procrastination, perfectionism, maybe it's people pleasing, maybe it's workaholic, overworking kind of thing. Um, and it just kind of gets in the way. It's like that's the default, right? That's what happens when you get into the default place. And what I found is that most people immediately jump into fixing the habit, fixing the symptom, fixing the thing, right? But I'd like to explore today something a little different. And I'd like to ask you if to consider that maybe the habit isn't the problem. Maybe the habit is a protection. It's you protecting you from something else, something a little deeper. So, I'm Amelia McHenry. I am the founder of Dodonna Coaching, and I help women in life transitions find their big dream and create the roadmap to achieve it. If you're looking for tips and tricks on how to define and design your big dream and your best life, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That'd be awesome. All right. So, many of the habits that we struggle with today began because they helped us feel safe. They created a way of moving in our environment that was okay. We didn't get yelled at, we didn't get hurt or hit or uh, you know, abandoned or abused or whatever was going on, right? And so we have these things. It's like, oh, I'm going to stay quiet because, and if I try, then somebody will yell at me, or I'm going to wait till the last minute because if I do it too soon, the mess is there longer and I get bonked for it for whatever reason, whatever that bonking is, yelling, screaming, shame, whatever it happens to be. Right. So those habits, those ways of being, that personality trait, that thing that we do, that we just go down into our core, this is autopilot, this is what we do, they helped us feel safe at some point in time. They served a purpose. They created a space where pain wasn't there, where rejection didn't happen, and uncertainty didn't show up, right? Because we knew if we acted this way, we got this result. So the challenge about that is that they stay longer than we need them. We are removed from that environment by growing up, growing out, getting out into the old world, own our I do, getting out into our own world, right? And we carry that with us because it worked. It worked. It kept us safe. It kept us healthy. It kept us whatever it kept us, it kept us. And so as we moved into our adult life, creating our own life, we recreated those spaces that helped us keep us healthy and safe. And we get to a point where it's not working anymore, right? The procrastination, the avoidance, all the things, right? The perfectionism. It doesn't feel good anymore. It doesn't bring safety. It doesn't, it brings overwhelm. It brings stress. It brings all the things that make us not feel so good and like we're not in the right place. And so, one of the most powerful questions I've learned to ask is, what is this protecting me from? What is this habitual way of being doing for me? Because it's doing something for you. It's creating a normalcy. It's the super highway of your brain. Like, this is the way we've always done it. This is what's worked. This is what kept us safe. This is what is, so what is that behavior? What is it protecting you from? And this isn't about to go dwell back in the past of like, oh, this is what this way. And oh. No, I mean, if you need to do that, absolutely, please go see a therapist and do that. This is just an observation that might bring up stuff that you need to go see a professional about. And it might just be the little, oh, well, that's not true in my life anymore. And it goes away. Could be that simple, right? This question, what is this protecting me from? Creates some curiosity. And curiosity, you start digging a little bit and just like, isn't that interesting? Oh, hey, I find I do this in this situation. Find I do that in that situation. Very interesting. And you start to get some understanding. And you're like, oh, I remember when Aunt Susie came by. That's where that showed up first. Oh, isn't that interesting? Okay, because Aunt Susie was this kind of a way, and to be around Aunt Susie, you had to be this way, because otherwise Aunt Susie did this, or Uncle Jack did that, and who's like, what's the deal, right? So it creates some understanding as to why that built up in your life, in your way of being. And once we have some kind of understanding and we can take it from the observer, right? We come up here into this observer portion and just kind of look at life as like, oh, that's what happened. Isn't that interesting? And oh, I get it. I get why that. Oh yeah, see right there, yep, I get that. That's why that 5-year-old needed that procrastination, needed that people pleasing, needed that overwork to whatever it was, we needed it. And it helped us navigate something that we didn't understand, emotions we didn't get. It's like we got no guidance, possibly, to work through it and create a different habit. So we created these emotional habits to keep us safe. And once you understand what that's all about, what that emotional habit is for, you can start to see where it can change, right? Change becomes a little easier because you're like, oh, yeah, there's that habit again. But this situation doesn't warrant that. That that training over here, that situation, that reason for that habit to be isn't true in this one over here. So maybe I can change the way I do things. And it's not going to all happen at the same time. It's barely funny because this has been coming up this week, where it's the button. The button gets pushed and you react a certain way. Button gets pushed, somebody says something a certain way, button, rah, I act this way, right? And it's by being curious and finding that understanding, you start to see the finger on the button and you're like, oh, look, the button's going to get pushed. And the reaction happens. And you're like, oh, I saw that happening. I knew that was going to happen. And then you start to see the button. You're like, oh, don't push. No, 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 don't push the button. Don't push the button. And you hold off the button. And then they go, bam, dang it, the button got pushed again. Right? And the more you can see that the button's going to get pushed, the faster you're going to catch it and maybe thwart the button being pushed. Or when you see it and you see the reaction, you're really like, oh man, sorry, the button got pushed. So the habit went into effect, right? Pretty button. So instead of judging yourself, instead of shaming yourself, instead of being like, well, that's just the way I am, try getting curious. Try looking for what it's doing for you. That protective nature, that nurturing nature, whatever it is. And if it works, great, keep doing it. If the situation is still true today, keep doing it. But if the situation and the intention and the reason behind it has changed and that story is no longer true today, then you have an opportunity. You have a reason to change the habit, right? Because the habit really isn't your enemy. It's a protection. But it doesn't know the story's changed. It doesn't understand. It just says, this is the way I've always been doing it. This is the way I've always been doing it. I have protected you this much. I have protected you this much. It's going to happen because you need protecting. But if the story's changed, if it's not true today, because what was true at 5 years old, what was true at 10, what was true at 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, however, whatever's behind you, whatever that story is, may not be the right story today. What you needed at 5 is not what you need at 50. What you needed at 15 is not what you need at 30. You're a different person. You've grown up, you've got experience, you've got knowledge, you've got a wealth of opportunity. You have support. You have all these other things, all these tools that you've learned about that are now at your disposal. And you don't need that habit in the form that it keeps showing up, that emotional habit. Maybe it's a shutdown. Maybe it's a speak up. Maybe it's a whatever it is, right? The procrastination, the people pleasing, the self-loathing before anybody else can do it for you, right? You have this opportunity to get curious. You have an opportunity to continue learning and shifting, appreciating that emotional habit for what it was, for a sense of protection and security and love and nurturing that's no longer required today. The shoes you fit in back there are not the same shoes you wear today. There's this saying of that is I don't know how it fits, but it's showing up for me to talk about it. There's a saying of that people I've heard a lot. It's like, "Oh, you're getting too big for your britches." Right? That was the way of shaming to stay small, to stay is like, "You're getting too big for your britches." Well, what do you do when a child grows up? Is a 15-year-old still wearing a 1T pair of pants? No, they're too big for those britches. So what do you do when you get too big for your britches? You get bigger britches. You grow with it. You find things that work for that body style that you are. You wear the shoes that fit. We're all not wearing little baby shoes because we've grown. It's the same with your emotional habits. You've grown. You don't need the 5-year-old emotional habit. You don't need the 10-year-old emotional habit. You can grow and be like, that was a tool that worked and saved me and kept me safe back then, but it's not working now. So we can shift it. We have that. So if you'd like help in reconnecting with that deeper part of yourself, the part that's underneath all those habits, the part that is saying, you know what, that habit doesn't work anymore. It doesn't feel good anymore. I'm ready for something different. I'm ready for something more. I'm ready for something more authentic to me. Take a look at the blog, right? There's a link to the blog, the actual written blog that I wrote. Um, and in there, there is a download for the big dream visualization. And it's a meditation that will help you work through this, help you find your big dream, right? So get curious. That'd be very interesting. And if you do get curious, I'd be really interested in to find out what you came up with. What's showing up for you? What was the protection that you needed that this overworking, people pleasing, self-deprecating, procrastinating persona saved you? What did that do to save you? And what can you do to change it today? I'd like to see those in the comments. And if you've liked this video, hit that like button. And of course, the subscribe. Yeah. So we can get you to your big dream because it's what's important. Living your most authentic life, living from your divine spark, what you know to be true for you, and shifting those habits, shifting those emotional ways of being, because it's not what it was back then. It's what it is today. You don't have to live back there. You can live today. So, till next time, keep your eyes on the horizon, your hands on the wheel, and your foot on the gas, baby. Let's do this. And I will see you next time.